Good evening, everybody. So I have this story that I've been forming in my head for, well, at least a year now, but even more so over the past couple of weeks. But as I start to think about telling that story, I realize that there's a backstory that has to come first. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of sidetracks and I will lose you all and I'll be talking way too long. So this is a little bit about us. If you don't really know us that well, you're going to get a brief history about us. If you do know us, maybe you'll hear something new that you haven't ever heard before. For 9 years, I lived as an Army wife. That was the time of Peter's service that I was married to him. And then he got out of the military and we moved on post-Army life. So for that 9 years, there were 3 years, not consecutive, that were 3 separate deployments, and they were not each a year apiece, but they were 15 months, 12 months, and 9 months. For 2 of those deployments, I was actually pregnant. Unlike some soldiers, Peter did get to come home for the birth of both of his children. He was home for approximately 14 days, and that does not mean the child was 14 days both times. Mal and Dietrich were each 11 days old when he went back to his job. So we only had 2 duty stations in his time in the military. We started in Colorado Springs at Fort Carson. Whenever we got married, I moved out there and joined him, and we didn't really seek out a local church home very well at first. We would go where my friend Robin went, which was about an hour away from Colorado Springs. We already had a friend built in that way, and I enjoyed getting to see her every week and continue building that friendship. And we met a lot of other people through that church, but it wasn't always easy, especially if you know anything about Colorado. You know that it snows, and so when it snows we couldn't get out and go that far. So we started looking for a church closer within town, and whenever we prayed about that, we prayed that we would find a group of people our own age with similar similar age kids, similar in age to us, similar in, I guess, just similar to us, like similar in personality, similar interests, things like that. And boy, does our God know how to answer prayers. One of the first young couples that we met when we visited, the husband is like 2 days older than I am, and the wife her birthday's on a few days on either side of Peter's. I don't remember which way that worked. And then their boys were each, one was 9 months older than Dietrich and one was 9 months younger. So it was like we fit perfectly. And so they met us and they said, hey, we're having a little get together at our house, no big deal. Would you like to come over and just have some leftovers and just enjoy company with us? We said, sure. And the other thing you need to know, if you don't know this already, is that Dietrich has food allergies, and we did not yet have a handle on those at that time. So these people that we just met, Dietrich threw up in their house after eating. And so, stranger's house, he gets a bath and he borrows some clothes from the boys, and pretty much solidifies our relationship with them. And this is not the first or only friend's house he's thrown up in and had to borrow clothes, etc. But that was the first time it had happened to us in a situation like that. So God provided just who we needed at that time. And a few years after we'd started going there is whenever Peter needed a change and called up his branch manager and said, what do you have? And they said, well, there's Alaska and there's Germany. And he said, all right, we're going to Germany. And there were some people at our church there in Colorado Springs that had actually previously been stationed in K-Town, and they told us about the church. They got us connected with somebody there, and I was able to talk to the church talked to people at the church before we ever flew over, and I was able to, we were able to meet the preacher and his wife before services, even because we arrived like in the middle of the week. So we met them before Sunday, and then we had a ride to church and Sunday dinner from another one of the members who I had talked to, and just this church immediately just welcomed us. The other part of this story is that whenever we left the States for Germany, I was about 9 weeks pregnant, and I miscarried that baby. And our church family there really helped us get through that, because this was all still in the middle of, we were not yet in permanent housing, we had not yet gotten driver's licenses, we had not, there was a whole lot of the logistical things that we hadn't done yet. There were classes we still hadn't finished, and so one of the ladies says, I'll watch Dietrich so you can go do this. And and if it wasn't for Dietrich, if you've ever heard me call him my sunshine, it is because he was a very bright spot, and he was the reason that I had to get up and keep going anyway. So he is my sunshine, and I call him that to this day. And because you can't just stop when you have a 3-year-old, you have to keep going. And there was a lot that was hard about that, but in a whole lot of ways, because we were in temporary housing, it was easier, because that wasn't one of my first memories in our new house. And later, a few months down the road, I was pregnant with Madeline, and almost a year after my miscarriage, we had our rainbow Madeline. And she is very much a rainbow. She's vibrant and colorful and unpredictable and amazing. So that's kind of a summary of God putting the right people in your life where you are. And as we were leaving Germany, we had no idea where we were going, because Peter's time in the service was over. So people in my MOPS group were like, aren't you, where are you going? Oh, well, we don't know. Why aren't you more scared? I'm not scared. God's got this. He'll figure out where we're supposed to go, and that's where we'll be. And I taught this. Dietrich heard me say it a lot, and he would repeat it to people. And it was a really good way of teaching him as well, just to remain faithful to God, because God always takes care of us. And we had a little bit of time of transition. Whenever we came back, we lived with my father-in-law for a little while before Peter got a job, and he's now on his 3rd job since then, but this one, he's finished school, and this one seems to be a really great fit, and it's local, and we're just really blessed by the timing and being able to stay in our community, because here we have an amazing church family and a great homeschool group, and just several other little things that have made this place a real home for us. Madeline was born in Germany, and so she was visited, it's either 7 or 8 countries before she ever was on United States soil. And one of the times that we went on a little trip, my friend Jennifer came overseas and visited places with us, and we went to Paris and the Eiffel Tower. And Jennifer got her, if I don't remember the little cat's name, it's the cat from the Aristocats, the mama cat. And so Jennifer got her that at one of these little stands by the Eiffel Tower. And I don't remember what she got Dietrich. I'm sure she got him something, but I don't remember what it was. But because this cat is important to the story of our community. And then we had amazing landlords in Germany. Even though there was a humongous language barrier, they loved our kids. They always made sure that, we were okay if we needed anything. While I was pregnant or while Peter was gone, they made sure that if I needed something, that they could help with it. And, because everything goes wrong when the spouse deploys. If you don't know that, just ask a military spouse. She'll tell you, or he'll tell you. And so one of the things, they gave our kids Christmas gifts, and they gave the gift that Madeline got was a little baby doll. And at the time, she was 2 when we moved here, so she wasn't really naming her toys yet. That came a little bit later. Same thing with the cat. The cat didn't have a name yet. And so about, I don't know, about 6 months or so, no, not quite that long, 3 or 4 months after we moved to Plainview, and I'd met Miss Christie and her daughters. One day I hear Madeline playing in a room, and she says something Aranza. And I looked in there and I said, "What are you talking about?" And she named the little cat Aranza. And whether it was because she liked the name, liked how it sounded, or maybe, Aranza is very kind, and maybe she just responded to that kindness, or maybe both. And so for the past 4 years, she'll be talking about Aranza, and sometimes I have to ask, are you talking about your cat or about the person? And so this past, when I had to tell my children about what happened 2 weeks ago, it was really hard for Madeline, because Madeline loved those girls, and in some ways more than I did, because she's one they always remembered to include. In our Tuesday gatherings, Madeline is the only little girl. All the rest of the girls are much older, and all the rest of the kids are little boys. And Madeline's getting to an age where this can become an issue, because maybe the boys don't want to include her, or she doesn't want to do what the boys are doing. And so the girls started including her when they would do their funny Instagram videos, and they just started including her in what they were doing and making her feel a part of the big girls group. And that meant a whole lot to me, and I never got a chance to really say that to Ella and Aranza. So I'm saying it now. And the next thing that happened after I broke her telling her is, she played for a while, and she was still sad some of the time. And we try to have her only have 2 animals or things, we call them friends, in her bed at night. It doesn't always work out. She's got about 100 in there right now. But she picked this baby doll and her cat Aranza. And I said, "Does your baby doll have a name?" And she says, "No, I never named my baby doll." And around this time, somebody had shared a post on Christy's page of baby Ella in this adorable little pink outfit that she looks just like a baby doll. And so Madeline named her baby doll Ella. And again, you don't name things after people who aren't important. And I am just so thankful they were part of our community. And it was too short a time, but we are so blessed that we were able to know them. And there's a whole other part to the story that I want to tell, but I had to tell all this backstory first, because I had to share how important Ella and Aranza were to my children, how they always included them. They never made them feel less because they weren't a big kid. They loved on them the same way that they loved on their friends their own age. They included them, and it meant the world to me. So I hope you guys have a community like this, and if you don't, message me and I'll be glad to try to help you find who your community is. Thanks. Good night.